This happened just a few months ago from the time I'm telling you this. I work overnight shifts at a warehouse, so my schedule's kind of flipped. I sleep during the day and stay awake from around 6 p.m. until 9 or 10 a.m., even on my nights off. Just easier to keep the routine the same. One night I got off work a little early, around 4 a.m., and started heading home. It was quiet. Roads were empty. Just the sound of rain tapping on the windshield. Peaceful, really. But when I turned onto my street, I saw something weird. Right next to my driveway was this old black sedan, parked right up against the curb. Its lights were off, windows tinted so dark I couldn't see a thing inside. I slowed down a little as I passed it, trying to get a better look, but it just sat there, still, silent. Now, I live in a neighborhood where houses aren't right on top of each other. There's space. Usually if someone's visiting, there's a ton of open street parking. So this car, sitting literally at the edge of my driveway, it didn't sit right with me. I pulled into my garage, glanced one more time down the drive before heading inside. Told myself it was probably someone visiting a neighbor, maybe staying late or something, but I kept thinking about it. Around 5 a.m., before I went to sleep, I peeked out the front window. The car was gone. Next day, same deal. Went to work. Came back around the same time. Roads were quiet again, but the car, it was back. Same exact spot. This time I parked, then walked to the end of my driveway just to check it out. As I got closer, I thought I saw movement in the driver's seat. Just the slightest shift, like someone ducking down real quick. Could have been a trick of the rain, or my tired brain messing with me, but still. I snapped a photo of the license plate just in case. It disappeared again by sunrise, like clockwork. Then came the third night. It was my night off, so I went for my usual long walk around the neighborhood to unwind. No car when I left. But when I came back, boom, there it was, right back in place. I walked right up to the window, this time. Pressed my hands to block the glare and tried to see in. The car was empty, just nothing. No bags, no fast food wrappers, no signs of anyone. Just a ghost car. I went inside and grabbed my phone, which had been charging on my nightstand while I was out. That's when I saw the notification, motion detected, front door camera. Now my camera only goes off if someone's literally right at the door. I opened the app and played the 60-second clip. Nothing for the first 55 seconds, just quiet footage of the front door. Then, in the last few seconds, something moved. A flash. The top of someone's head and shoulders moved past the bottom of the frame, and that camera was pointed directly at the door. That door was 10 feet from where I was standing. My stomach dropped. My hands went cold. I turned around slowly, scanning the room with wide eyes. I don't even know what I was expecting. To see a face staring at me, a figure crouching behind the couch. I didn't wait to find out. I ran. I heard them behind me. Actual footsteps pounding the hallway floor as I bolted for the stairs. They were maybe 10, 15 feet behind me. I didn't even think. I flung open the front door and just ran. Into the woods. Into the dark. Into the rain. Didn't look back once. Cops came quick when I called. The car was gone, but I had the license plate picture. It only took them a few hours to find the guy. Mid-20s, looked empty, like nothing behind his eyes. They found photos on his phone, of my house, of me, through the window, sitting in my living room. Notes about my work schedule, my walks. What time do I leave and get home? He'd been watching me for 2 weeks. To this day, we don't know how he got inside my house. The cameras never caught a break-in. No forced entry. It was like he knew where the cameras were and avoided them until that one moment he slipped up. Just once. And that mistake saved my life. I used to drive for a rideshare app, mostly at night. Fewer cars, better surge pricing, and honestly, I liked the peace. Something about cruising through quiet streets under the glow of streetlights, listening to late-night radio. Rainy nights were even better. The world felt softer, quieter. But this one night, I'll never forget. It was a Thursday. Light rain. I'd been driving since 8 p.m. and was about to call it a night when a new request came in. 2:41 a.m. A pickup from a neighborhood about 15 minutes away, middle of nowhere almost. I hesitated. Something about the name didn't feel right, but I took it anyway. GPS said the rider's name was Anna. The pickup pin dropped near a cul-de-sac lined with old, slightly run-down houses. All their porch lights were off, except for one, a small white house at the end. The dim porch bulb was flickering like it had been struggling for years. I pulled up, headlights cutting through the rain. No one came out. I waited a minute, then two. I was about to cancel when I saw her, a girl standing near the edge of the porch. Mid-20s maybe, soaking wet, like she'd been out in the rain for hours. Long black hair, a red jacket. She didn't run, didn't walk, just stood there for a second, then slowly stepped toward the car. I unlocked the doors. She opened the back door without saying a word, slid in, and shut it gently. No hi, no thanks, just silence. I asked, "You Anna?" No answer. I glanced in the rear view. She wasn't looking at me, just out the window. Face pale, eyes glassy. The kind of look people get when they're in deep shock or have been crying for hours. But her eyes were dry. I started the ride anyway. Figured maybe she'd had a rough night. We drove in silence for about 5 minutes. The rain picked up. I tried making small talk. "Cold night, huh?" But she didn't even blink, no response. I adjusted the mirror to look at her again, and this time, I noticed something. Her reflection. It wasn't matching her movement. She had turned her head slightly to look out the opposite window, but in the mirror, her reflection hadn't moved. Blinked hard. Thought maybe it was the angle or the rain distorting things. I focused on the road again, tried to ignore the goosebumps rising on my arms. About 10 minutes into the ride, the GPS said to take a right onto a back road. It was one of those narrow, tree-lined roads that looks like it leads straight into the woods. No streetlights, no signs of life. I hesitated. "Hey," I said, my voice a little shaky. "Are you sure this is the right way?" Nothing. I stopped the car, turned halfway in my seat and asked again, louder this time, "Is this where you wanted to go?" That's when she finally moved. Slowly, she turned her head toward me. Her eyes met mine in the mirror, and she smiled. Not a normal smile, not friendly. It was wide, too wide, like her cheeks didn't know when to stop. "Keep driving," she whispered. My stomach twisted. I reached for my phone, tried to pretend like I was checking something, but I was pulling up the emergency assistance button on the app. "No phones," she said softly, almost sing-song. I froze. "This is where it happened," she continued, voice still quiet. "Right, down that road. He took me there, and when he was done, he left me in the ditch like garbage." My hands gripped the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. "I just want to go home now," she said, voice breaking. Something about the way she said it, that mix of sadness and rage, made my skin crawl. I didn't know whether to keep driving or get out and run. And then, just like that, she vanished. I heard the door click open behind me. I turned around, heart racing, but the back seat was empty. Just wet footprints on the floor mat. I sat there frozen for I don't know how long. Rain pounding the windshield. Engine still running. The map on the phone blinking arrived. A week later, I couldn't stop thinking about her. I looked up the address she had me pick her up from. I needed closure, needed to make sense of it. I found a news article from 1997. A woman named Anna, red jacket, mid-20s, had been abducted from that same street. Her body was found off that same road. Killer was never caught. Some locals still leave their porch light on for her, in case she ever finds her way home. I don't drive that route anymore, and I'll never forget the sound of that voice from the back seat of my car. "Keep driving." This happened on a quiet Sunday evening, one of those days where everything just feels slow and uneventful. I had spent most of it catching up on housework and watching old movies. The sun had already set, and the sky was turning a murky blue-gray. Outside, I live in a small house near the edge of a wooded area, far enough from the nearest neighbor that things stay pretty quiet around here. Peaceful, usually. I was in the kitchen cleaning up after dinner, just the usual dishes and a wipe down. of the counters. From the window above the sink, I could barely make out the trees swaying lightly in the breeze. Nothing unusual, until I noticed something. It was so subtle I almost didn't register it. A flicker of movement. Not the trees or the wind, but something standing still just past the first line of trees. I leaned in a bit, squinting through the glass. I don't know how else to describe it, but it looked like someone was standing there completely still, not walking, not swaying, just watching. The shape was faint, like a figure, but the longer I looked, the less sure I became if it was even a person. I turned off the light to kill the glare from the window and tried to get a better look. Still there. Same spot, same height. I stood frozen for maybe 30 seconds before convincing myself it was probably a tree or a shadow playing tricks on me. I went into the living room and turned on a lamp. Even though I told myself it was nothing, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. My dog, who usually just lies curled up by the fireplace, suddenly lifted his head and let out a low growl. That's when my skin went cold. I looked at him, then toward the back of the house, toward the sliding glass door that leads to the backyard. The curtains were mostly drawn, but there was a gap, a narrow one, and through it, I saw it again. Closer this time. Someone, or something, was standing just beyond the edge of my yard in the shadows, too far to make out clearly, but close, enough that I knew this wasn't my imagination. My heart started to pound. I pulled the curtain closed all the way and backed away slowly. I tried to rationalize. Maybe a lost hiker? A prank? A neighbor being weird? But again, there are no neighbors close enough for this to make any sense. Still, I tried to move on. I sat on the couch, turned on the TV, tried to distract myself, but my eyes kept drifting toward the back window, and that horrible feeling, that gut-deep dread, only grew stronger. About 20 minutes later, I heard a soft tap, not at the front door, not at the sliding glass door, but at the small window in the hallway by the side of the house, the one nobody ever uses. A single, distinct tap. I stood there in the hallway staring at the window, my chest tight. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't stop myself. I took one slow step after another, heart racing until I reached the window. I raised the edge of the curtain just an inch, and what I saw made my knees go weak. There was a face, pale, blank, with wide black eyes, like pits. It wasn't pressed against the glass, just hovering a few inches away, staring directly at me. I dropped the curtain and stumbled backward. The dog started barking like crazy now, running from door to door. I grabbed my phone and called the police. They said they'd send someone out, but it would take time. I locked every door and sat in the hallway holding a kitchen knife, staring at that window. But when the police arrived 20 minutes later, the figure was gone. No footprints, no signs of anyone. They said it was probably a prank, or maybe an animal. I know better. That thing, whatever it was, wasn't human. And I haven't opened that hallway window since.